Sup? You fools! Matt, ESC United. It's your favorite Eurovision channel, and welcome to yet another episode of Mattitude, the ESC United livestream where we talk about, yes, you guessed it right, Eurovision all day, all week long. And yes, the season of national finals is over with Sweden having Melodifestivalen final last Saturday. We had no new shows, no new songs to be selected. Well, that's not technically true because we did have some internal announcement, but other than that, it has been a show-free week for all of us. But it's not a non-news week in terms of Eurovision. A lot has happened, and this is what we are here for. Hi everyone in the chat, so glad that you're here. Thomas Labori is here, hi. Nikolai Moller is here, hi. Nomeda Kvorning is here, so I'm so glad that you're all here. There is a lot going on, and if this is your first time, first of all, welcome. Make sure to subscribe because that's how you'll be notified if there is more going on. And we'll talk about some of the news that happened throughout the week. I'll give you a quick breakdown first, then I'll share my thoughts on it, and then you share your thoughts, and I will answer them to the best of my abilities in the chat, always at ESC United. Make sure you talk to me so I know that you are talking directly to me and not chat amongst each other. So those are basically the rule. And at the very end, we're going to have an open Q&A where we talk anything Eurovision related. Doesn't have to be on topic, can be anything. But throughout the show, we try to stay on topic as much as possible. Are you ready? I am ready. So, as you probably saw based on the title of the video, even though we had no shows, there was a lot. I don't know what's going on this year when it comes to Eurovision and drama. There's always a good amount of controversies and drama, but this year it seems like, what is going on? I'm not going into the whole thing that happened already in the past, like Cyprus's El Diablo, thinking about the devil and the religious people in Cyprus going crazy, Armenia having to withdraw from the contest due to the conflict, and that's all very sad and devastating, of course. But we're going to focus on things that has happened over the last week or so, and that alone has been crazy, and I'm sure there's even more. But let's delve right into it. Let's talk about it. Let's start with one of them and then we'll go for one. The first one, and that is one of the bigger ones, is North Macedonia. And North Macedonia, we all probably know, in case you don't, let me remind you here real quick, but Vasil was selected internally to represent North Macedonia at Eurovision in 2021. He previously was selected in 2020 as well, with the song You, and then not too long ago, the broadcaster waited quite some time. They finally said, okay, we're also sending him this year. Now, the question is, what is going on? What is the drama with your mama here? Well, let me break it down for you real quick. So, the situation that happened, the entire controversy actually is about what appears to be something that represents a Bulgarian flag. And that is as vague as I can get at this point. But basically what happened is there is an unfortunate shot in the music video that led to a huge backlash within North Macedonia, and basically to a point where the broadcaster MRT decided to reevaluate the situation of participation. And that is crazy to me. Now, the North Macedonian Eurovision Twitter account posted a statement, an official statement about this situation. And let me read that one quick to you. You can also see it on the screen. Macedonian Radio Television MRT has established an internal commission to review and analyze all aspects of the public reactions related to the Eurovision Song Contest. The public service broadcaster will also take into account the obligations as a participating country, as well as an active member of the European Broadcasting Network, where MRT is an integral part of the Public Service Association in the European Union. The public will be informed about MRT's final decision. So yeah, that is the statement. And a lot of you, myself included, were thinking like, this is strange, right? I'm trying to be as fair as possible. Some are saying it's ridiculous that such an error in a music video could potentially lead the country to withdraw. But there is a reason for this trouble and context. So let's get into it just a little bit, and then I'll share my thoughts. And it's of importance considering that it has gotten to the point that a petition was released, put forward, where people asked within hours, gathered thousands and thousands of signatures. I think as of right now, I checked last night, it was about 20,000 signatures or something like that, rising in numbers. This easily asking for Vasil to not be the representative. So this becomes a huge deal, especially in a small country, where the question is about national ethnicity. So, explanation about the deal here. Most European fans follow Eurovision. They know the situation between Greece and the country, right? Regarding of the name and how that affects. But the deal with Bulgaria is a little different. It's about the ethnicity among the people of North Macedonia. And if I get some facts wrong, please let me know. But hopefully I got it somewhat right. In short, as we all know, North Macedonia was part of Yugoslavia, dissolved in 1991. Became an independent country at that point in time. Already when North Macedonia declared independence, breaking from Yugoslavia, they were dealing with trouble with the name of the country. Back then, they were known as Macedonia, and that upset a lot of the Greek folks. Ever since, actually, it's still ongoing due to the historic meaning of the word Macedonian. It goes back to Alexander the Great. And in Eurovision, we all know, for the longest time, until 2 years ago, I think, we referred to the country as former Yugoslavian Republic of Macedonia, which was a pain when you give points. But yeah, that was the name. Anyhow, when North Macedonia broke away from Yugoslavia, it was done peacefully for the most part, as much you can do. There were some other conflicts elsewhere, but North Macedonia, it wasn't as big. The first nation, interesting enough, to recognize North Macedonia as an independent country was Bulgaria. And this is though where the ethnicity issue comes into play. Since both North Macedonia and Bulgaria are Slavic-speaking nations, the languages are quite similar, and where it gets ugly, I guess, is Bulgaria claims that citizens of North Macedonia are kind of like Bulgarian. It's very, very tricky. Now, we know the basic of this entire problem, right? With pretty much about the ethnicity about North Macedonia. Now, how does Vasil get into trouble here? Let me explain to you. So the music video, his entire Here I Stand, the song, was filmed at the National Gallery of Macedonia. It was in the capital of Skopje, in, the capital. So the so-called Bulgarian flag was seen very briefly in the video. So, and here, let me show you a picture real quick. It has then led to many viewers believing that the background art was actually rearranged. So, in fact, it looked like a Bulgarian flag. The question is, how so? Because Vasil himself has said he, in fact, has Bulgarian citizenship. I believe he said that in an interview last year with Wee Blogs. Now, we've gotten to the point where people of North Macedonia, so many of them, don't want to be represented on the big stage by someone who isn't, and I'm using air quotations, isn't, from North Macedonia. But Vasil himself even responded to all this, and because, it is a lot of drama, and you gotta, I guess, address it. Here it is. I want to take this opportunity to thank Europe and the world for the amazing response, reactions, messages, love, and support. Sadly, this past weekend, things took a different direction in my beautiful Macedonia, and we had to remove and upload the video again, due to the misinterpretation of the triptych art piece on the wall. I am a music ambassador, and in music there are no religions, politics, orientation, race, or color. I had absolutely no intentions to hurt anybody, quite the opposite. I am so proud of this project, which not only embodies me, but the country and culture. Musicians and featured artists in the gallery. I do not apologize for being me. I never will. I didn't have a choice in that. However, if I hurt anybody in any way from the bottom of my heart, I'm sorry. Forgive me. As I say in my song, they all try to break us, not knowing it's what makes us. This is how we found our way. Okay, he doesn't write it like that. Here I stand. There is no pretend. My walls are my army in your hand. I love you all. Thank you very much. So that was the statement that he had to release in regards to that. As pointed out, the video was taken down from Eurovision.tv's website and YouTube channel, re-uploaded to cut out the flag. And as of right now, we don't have a official response from the Macedonian broadcaster in terms of whether or not they're going to withdraw or if they're going to stay, any changes. This is where it gets really tricky. But this, in a nutshell, is what happens in North Macedonia, just trying to get you up to speed on the situation. So there are so many issues at hand. Let me share my thoughts, and then I would love to hear yours as well. First of all, just the fact that they're considering withdrawing is trouble for North Macedonia. At this point, you cannot just withdraw. I mean, technically you can, but you pay fees, you have to pay more money, you cannot get any of the money back, and you're risking being banned from the contest for an extended period of time. The EBU said you cannot withdraw at this point. And if you do, there will be consequences. I don't know if the EBU would even allow such a withdrawal without applying a proper penalty. They could be nice, they could bend the rules and decide what they want, but North Macedonia would take a big risk in being banned from taking part in the contest in the near future if they just withdraw over this thing. Right? And so that is something we need to definitely take into consideration. So, I don't want to be disrespectful towards anyone who feels upset, but I did say I tweeted about it a couple of days ago. I live in America, and in America we have a lot of people have very strong patriotism, right? And it is borderline nationalism. And I find nationalism to be a poison because it blinds people from thinking critically and just getting this blind pride and defensiveness of a country without looking past the context and the situation at hand that happens here. And I think for a lot of people that happened in North Macedonia when it comes to Vasil. I don't understand how a person who happens to have dual citizenship, I'm a German American myself, could be considered not Macedonian in any shape or form. It is just very confusing to me, and such a minor thing. Let me rephrase that. What I perceive to be a minor thing is such a big deal. So I would love to hear from those of you as well if there's more to it, because the two issues at hand are that Vasil has a Bulgarian passport, is a Bulgarian citizen, as well as a Macedonian, and the flag of Bulgaria, which wasn't even really the flag, it was artwork that was seen for like 2 hot seconds in the video, is some kind of like message from Vasil to Bulgaria that he is doing that, and it's like, oh my god. I don't understand. And I am very careful. Like, I know that there are always like symbolism and meaning, all that stuff, but this seems crazy actually then how this could be interpreted that way. And it is very upsetting that people always look for the worst in something rather than looking like, okay, maybe that was just an honest mistake. But the fact that there are tens of thousands of people signing this is just mind-boggling to me. I truly hope, my hope is that the broadcaster is putting forward this statement as just, okay, sure, there's enough attention. Let's just pretend, or let's just make a statement, look into this, and in the end, we're just going to move forward. That is ultimately my hope, what's going to happen. Because if, for some reason, the broadcaster and the country would withdraw from Eurovision, that would be, number one, devastating for Vasil, for us Eurovision fans, and for the country, because this could have long-term consequences, and is not in the spirits of Eurovision. And it is just very, very, very confusing to me. And so, but this is what's just one of the dramas that's happening in Eurovision right now. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think that if you want to articulate in a way, either side, let me know at ESC United in the chat so I know what you are talking about. But yeah, this to me is a very interesting and a unique situation we haven't had really at Eurovision. And I understand there are every country has its own kind of, issues when it comes to nationalism and defense of ethnicity. It's not just a pure ex-Yugoslavian thing. It is everywhere. Bulgaria is in the European Union, and North Macedonia tries to become a member. Whoever has a European Union identity can travel to every country that is a member. That is true. Bulgaria is there. North Macedonia wants to become a member. But I don't necessarily see the connection if that had anything to do with what they are saying. So this is where I have a slightly disconnect there. I still think in the end things will work out for the better, but maybe I'm just a naive little person. Ryan Atherton is saying, I don't think North Macedonia should withdraw, but if they do, I think I would understand. That is interesting. Why would you understand? Because I don't. Stephen Kendall says, this is more about Bulgaria. They're having elections coming up, and the current prime minister is saber-rattling against Russia to get re-elected. But if it's more about Bulgaria, then why is the North Macedonian broadcaster and the North Macedonian people all upset? That is the confusion to me. I hear what you're saying, though. Ibrahim is saying, it's due to the intense time that we live. There's a rise of racism and bad thoughts everywhere, and even more in Europe. I mean, that happens everywhere. I think we here in the US have the same issue. I'm sure it's in news all over the place. It is just really upsetting when it bubbles into Eurovision, and it seems kind of silly to me. Matthew Faustini is saying, a lot of this drama is unfortunately tied up in homophobia, as well as you see from the comments in the petition. I didn't read for all the comments because it's hard to read, but could that be a part of it? That homophobia in North Macedonia is playing a part in it, being represented by a man who is out, and the fact that the song itself, initial response was fairly negative for the most part. Not by me, clearly, but by a lot of fans, and probably even within the country. Maybe they were not thrilled, so maybe they can feel like they're killing two birds with one stone kind of situation with that. It is just very, very confusing. Yes. Our flag is different. The arrangement of colors is different. It's just hate towards us Bulgarians. They try to steal our history. These problems are political. I mean, in the end, I think what you're saying, I think it is political, and it's very complicated. And I'm not dismissing either side. I'm just saying that look at the reality, look at the context. Do you really think the seal was out there putting some kind of hidden message in there saying, I'm representing Bulgaria, I'm putting this flag, which wasn't even really the flag, in the back of the museum, his video? No, come on. It's a little much, I think. So that is what's confusing to me. So point is, we have to wait for more updates on that. I'm still hoping that this will not be an issue. But if there would be, I can see the EBU definitely doing something about it. And Barcelona also raising Bulgaria is blocking Macedonia to become EU member, and Bulgarians claim that Macedonians doesn't exist, that they're Bulgarians. That is why all the drama once again. But why are the people? Yeah, it's just unfortunate. I just think I understand why people are upset on either side in a certain extent, but dragging Vasil into this is just a little ridiculous, right? At least that is my view. Hopefully this will be fine. It's just all of a sudden, because it was always the Greece North Macedonia issue, and now all of a sudden Bulgaria comes into play. Politics are confusing, and I will say the EBU is in a tough spot. They cannot get involved, but I just hope they will not be like, okay, if you want to withdraw, that's fine. Stand your ground, EBU. That is my hope. So that's just one of the issues. There were plenty of other issues, and one of the other ones is, fortunately, has been resolved, so that is a good thing, but it was ridiculous. In Russia, we all know, man, I always want to, let's start over. So, several outlets, including like The Guardian even, they reported that the Russian woman song that was selected to represent Russia, performed by Manitsa, I think that's how you pronounce her name, is being investigated, or was investigated, based on illegal lyrics. But first of all, good news is the Russian news agency RIA Novosti reports that there is no such thing. There were no illegal statements found in the song, and that is the most important thing. One of the things that happened there was the group, the Russian Union of Orthodox Women. They said, we need to ban this song. It incites hatred. Let me start over. Hatred towards men and undermines the foundations of a traditional family. And that's interesting. And it was also reported that Veteransky Vesti, I think that's how it's pronounced. It's a site that's devoted to war veterans. They also put out an open letter and asking to initiate proceedings, criminal proceedings, into the song, that the performance was insulting for Russian women and harmful to the national solidarity. So the good thing is I'm struggling with that name. The singer, Manisa, she kind of not made fun of the situation, but she was very like supportive and defensive of her music on social media, pointing out like, this is ridiculous. Hatred towards men is a very strong statement, right? I am glad that the song is allowed and that there was no illegality going on there, and I am relieved that it is silly again. I'm like, why? But I understand that this is an issue with a lot of Orthodox and deeply religious organizations, as pointed out. They did the same thing in Cyprus, right? And remember when Iceland in 2019 was outrageous. Lordy, in 2006, people don't necessarily look at the content or the actual lyrics of the song. They just see or hear something, and that triggers them. And so that is what happened here. But the good news is this was probably short-lived drama. They have decided there is no law-breaking stuff in the lyrics. We are good to go. If only these people invested their time in streaming the bangers of ESC this year. Isn't that right, Yusuf? We have a lot of bangers this year. I'm happy to talk about that at the very end. Let's get through the drama with your mama first, and then we'll talk about the music. But yeah, that is what happened in Russia. And of course, we all know to a certain extent that we had some drama, good amount of drama, in Belarus. This is Galassi Smesta, I think that's how you pronounce it, and if not, touche. So they had their song Ya Nauchu Tebia that they initially submitted. Well, it was not withdrawn, but basically eliminated by the EBU. They excluded the song shortly after, like a day or two after it was released. And if you watched our channel, we also made a statement that we will not report on the song in its current form. So, but fortunately, it was removed, and they're not allowed to perform the song at Eurovision. We were told that there will be a replacement song in the coming days, but we haven't heard anything, so a lot of us were wondering, are they going to take part? Are they going to withdraw now? But from what we're hearing, that is not going to be the case. The EBU made a short statement, and they said, we are still having discussions with BTRC about the change regarding the lyrics of their song or the presentation of a new song in order to comply with the existing Eurovision rules. And then the Belarusian broadcaster, BTRC, the director, said that the song will be ready in a few days. There were some outlets reporting that the EBU gave them until April 1st to put forward the song, but that has not been confirmed. So from what we're hearing, it will be a new song. And I'm sure that the EBU will go through it like word for word to make sure that there is nothing similar going on. And that is where we're at this right now. The question is it a fair thing to do? Because the deadline basically has passed, so they're making exception. They're accommodating Belarus to submit a song to Eurovision. And it is, I will say, the Eurovision, the EBU is in a tough spot in terms of, staying out of politics, but still respecting the rules. And the problem is the band itself is known to be a pro-government band, and in the end, I guess the EBU wouldn't care about that. All they worry about is you can be all of that as long as the words, the message of the song are nothing like it. And it's a tough situation. I understand if the EBU didn't want to kick out the country Belarus from the get-go. But now that we've passed the point, usually where any other country wouldn't, maybe should have submitted a song and they haven't, it's a little strange. And someone saying Belarusian media has reported that the band frontman said that he would write few new songs if required so. So it does look like they'll be back regardless. And that is what we're hearing. The band will be back from what we're hearing with a different song. So there will not be rewritten lyrics. There will be new lyrics. And Gilad is pointing out that President Lukashenko said that Belarus would have a new song. Lukashenko himself said that, not suspicious at all, right? I'm just picturing it. I understand it's a different climate, but I'm just thinking German Chancellor Merkel is like, yeah, we'll have a new song next week. It's just like, what is up to you? Or Macron or Boris Johnson be like, so yeah, about our Eurovision song. I'm like, shush. Get out of Eurovision. You have nothing to do here. So that is definitely a very strange situation. And the thing is, Belarus, if they take part, assuming they will take part, they will luck out because we will have either no or a very limited amount of people in the arena, because we know that there would be a healthy amount of booing coming their way. So that would not be the issue this year. But it is, you can make a case, and I'm not sure if anyone in Belarus or like people with Belarusian connection feel the same way, but just having the band itself at Eurovision for the people of the country and those are sympathizing with the people, they must feel a little icky about that as well. Because they still know, even though they could sing about unicorn farts and rainbows, but it still would feel a little, or a lot, I should say, wrong. Right? Is it me? Am I being overreacting here? At least that is my perspective of it. But I understand the EBU's hands are a little tied. It's a tough situation, so I hope then just the people, the voters, will make the right call if they feel uncomfortable and then support other songs. But yeah, it's a tough situation, and this is the most political live stream I probably have ever had. And as much as I love to talk about politics, American politics, world politics, separate from Eurovision, when it comes to Eurovision, I'm like, ugh, go away. I don't need you here. This is supposed to be coming together. It's my favorite thing of the year, going to Eurovision, well, or at least doing Eurovision and just celebrating this awesome song, this way of this unique and the best community in the world, bring people together. And so this kind of sucks that this is happening. So that has happened as well. Hopefully it will get an answer to that. And then there have been more drama with your mama. I don't know why I'm bringing your mama in all the time. It's a little less dramatic, but it's still, in my view, just worthy to bring up. We all know that in Malta, Destiny returned to Eurovision. Again, she's technically not returning because she's never taken part in the first place as a solo artist. But, since Eurovision was canceled last year, her new song for 2021 was released. Jemekase is out, became one of the betting odds favorite almost immediately, and there is already some drama. In case you don't know what happened, the singer, she sat down with a magazine, I think, a news site actually, they're called Lovin' Malta, and they answered a few questions about the songs, and then she was asked about this situation about the song, that she's objectifying the male model that is in the music video. And she responded the following: "No, I'm not objectifying anything or anyone. The message I want to give out, the message of the song is that women are powerful and women are independent, and we don't need a man to be independent and powerful. That's the message. It's not about not needing men in general. It's about women empowerment. The message is to have people, girls my age, to never give up on themselves and feel comfortable in their own skin. That's what I want to bring out from the song. It's not about because we don't need men in our lives. That's not the message, so people should take note." And I guess it's just a very touchy subject right now, and people are on edge about this whole objectification of people. There was apparently some kind of commercial if I'm not mistaken. It was criticized. It was some advertisement, and that he was a guy was fantasizing about a female work colleague, and that this was criticized, and that Destiny should be criticized in the same manner. Um, but it's kind of interesting. So I find it interesting in that sense, like, hey, at least it's equal opportunity criticism, that women could be objectifying men and not just men objectifying women. So from that perspective, I'm glad that there is not a double standard. So round of applause for that. In terms of whether or not she was objectifying it, don't tell anyone. And if you do, I will lie. I'm not 21 anymore, right? I'm a little older, but I'm not that old. But to me, I never considered privately lusting after someone, or like having the hots for someone, is objectifying someone. To me, that is a natural thing. Now, there are places where it gets too far, and I haven't seen that particular commercial or advertisement to see if that is over the top. The video to me was just a standard music video. I didn't see anything controversial about it or weird. So it was an interesting thing that it all of a sudden pops out to be a big issue. And I'm not sure if it's the lockdown that we're all just being super bored and get outraged about everything. But I'm not even opposed to being like aware of, hey, certain things are no longer cool. I get that. And some people are saying everything is political correctness, everything is cancel culture. No, no, no. There is nuance there. But I do think sometimes people go a little bit too dramatic, right? So in this case, I'm like, come on. Come on. But that is just me. And that is just one interpretation. If you feel as this video is inappropriate, by all means, let me know at ESC United in the chat and say why you think this is inappropriate and Destiny is wrong here. Because I want to hear both sides. I don't want to just be like, I'm right, you're wrong, even though I am right and you're wrong. No, I'm kidding. It's just very, very interesting. So yeah, and it seems like usually every year we have this drama and upset about plagiarism, right? Some people talk about this song sounds like this song is stolen from that, da 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 dee da boom ba boom. And now that is not a thing, it's all about everything else. I miss my old plagiarism complaints. It is just very, very confusing. There was a little bit plagiarism, somebody pointed out in the chat as well, about Portugal, but it was minor, right? There certainly has not been any kind of actions taken. But yeah, that is where we are at. So this is all the dramas happened, and I'm sure some people talked about Azerbaijan earlier. I'm not aware of any Azerbaijan drama. Keep in mind, I was out of the loop for 2 days. Number one, I had family in town, and number two, I got the COVID shot, and I'm so happy. So, and I got a little, not loopy, but my arm hurt a little, for like a day, so I rested. But so I missed a little bit. So if something is worthy of sharing, let me know. Some people saying that Malta have some plagiarism. Yeah, of course, but unless it's plagiarism is very, very hard to prove, and it's hardly ever being eliminated, right? It's very, very rare. Falberg is saying this live stream is clearly inappropriate. Oh dear, because you were red and the wall is white. Do you want to push us to vote for Latvia, Austria? Dang it! Actually, it was supposed to be red, white, and blue, but I dropped my... Do you have anything blue? So I can do American, like, what's my Americanism? Oh, I got a blue frame. So yeah, red, white, and blue. There, I got it. USA. USA. No. That was funny. Thank you, Yuataoli, for the super chat and supporting us. Thank you so much for everyone that supports us, whether it's for membership here on YouTube or just, doing the super chats or just liking, sharing the videos. Any of that sort helps, because I'll talk about later bit about upcoming Rotterdam as well in this situation. Yuataoli's, your message gets read. My top 5: Portugal, Austria, Georgia, Denmark, Poland. As far as I know, back in the 90s and early 2000s, songs couldn't be released before January 1st. I think Lithuania or two changed issue changed it. Yeah, I mean, they made some adjustments over the past 20 years. I forgot the exact date. It was like September 15th or something like that. Or was it before that? So yeah, it certainly has changed a lot. It's a very interesting top five, and I'm happy to more elaborate on that one. But I know you, Towley, that your taste certainly has a different touch to it, which I absolutely, absolutely appreciate. So yeah, so that is what happened. Any other drama I've missed or anything you want to share at ESC United in the chat, make sure that I see it, so we can talk about it. But yeah, and if I miss it, by all means, there's a lot of stuff going on. Effendi promoted the anti-LGBT and very nationalistic anti-Armenian president. She is supportive of his and shared things about Armenia on Instagram that let's say weren't as nice. I would have to look and like very exactly all the details on that, but that wasn't really brought up a whole lot last year, right? Maybe it was briefly, but it certainly didn't make any waves, and there's nothing the EBU can do about that, because the song is not political. The Effendi is not doing any sort of political speech at Eurovision. Azerbaijan is really good at that, kind of saying hush on that. They use that platform. They know they have a platform to really show their musical talents. But yeah, I don't think anything comes from it, but I understand if people are upset about it. I understand that. And in other countries, it sometimes works like, it wasn't political, but in, what's it, 2016? No, 15, right? When Xavier Naidoo was selected internally to represent Germany, and the fans were going crazy about like that dude. He had apparently like some homophobic past about his lyrics and the songs and his associations. I don't remember even all the details. And sure enough, and he was like, "I'm out of here." Right? It's a little bit more likely, but in Azerbaijan, it's not going to make a difference. Yeah. Falbrook is saying, I feel like the whole situation with Belarus is the spring of this cancel culture. Accusations have always been a thing over the last years. Now people see they can force an investigation. In Belarus, Belarus obviously is a very different story. And I think we all need to look at each case and compare it on its own merit, right? Malta, clearly very different than what's happening in North Macedonia, which is very different from what's happening in Belarus or Russia or any other drama that's out there. So that is something we need to remember. So we can say, well, but some people, yes, I get it, they're kind of see what I can get out of it. But I think the vast majority of people just want to do the right thing, and ultimately the right thing will happen. And as many dramas we've had, a lot of them are usually resolved without a change. And I expect that to happen. So maybe I'm just having my happy glasses on. I don't see any of the 4 songs that I just mentioned in terms of drama ending up in any sort of disqualification. But that is just me. So those are the dramas of the day. Let's take a look real quick since we have it. Have you paid attention to the odds this week now that we have all songs except for Belarus? But I think it's a non-factor anyway. We now have a little bit more of a representative betting odds situation that will change over the next month or so, and will most definitely change once the the rehearsals will kick off, and then of course throughout that entire week of Eurovision as well. So expect changes. But as of right now, as you can see, Switzerland is in tied first place with Malta. Keep in mind, this was as of 12 hours ago. So if that has changed, by all means, let me know. But this is where we're at right now. Switzerland and Malta are basically tied in first place. So it's a battle there. France still high up there. Could come and climb up. It's the song that has staying power, that's for sure. Bulgaria in 4th, Italy in 5th, and Sweden in 6th. Now, Sweden in 6th is actually surprising to me. When Sweden is in 6th place in the betting odds, that usually means the song is not going as well as we think. Because Sweden gets always a lot of betting odds love, knowing of their support they get from the juries and just the overall results. Kind of understandable why you would want to put money on, because they're always a contender, but usually they're a little bit higher, so 6 is actually not that great. Lithuania dropped a little bit over the past few weeks into 7th place, still a good position. And keep in mind, certain songs like Portugal in 2017 was kind of hovering around that, and then they went up. Austria was even lower in 2014, and they jumped up. Remember, Cyprus in 2018, Fuego was like in 10th or 11th place in the odds. Then rehearsals kick, and she became at some point the number one. And then, who else do we have here? Iceland with 10 years. That dropped quite a bit, though, since the song has been released, which is interesting. El Diablo, Cyprus in 9th, and Finland in 10th. And on the right side, I'm not going for them all individually, but you can see this where the other songs are sitting. Keep in mind, and I'm sure most of you know this, this is not a ranking. It's only what people would put down on the winner. So even let's say we're using this example, Malta in 2nd place right now, people don't think Malta will finish in 2nd place, or that Moldova will finish in 14th place. It's just, which country got the most winner vibes. If you would put together like a top 10, this ranking could potentially look a whole lot differently. San Marino dropped into 12th place, interestingly enough, because they were in the top 10 in 10th place. I'm wondering if, again, if this wasn't San Marino, if this was a song from Sweden or Malta, if this would have been way higher, I guess I can see that probably. Can you recall any time where odds were seriously wrong? I remember Israel being a favorite to win in 2000 and Denmark being towards the bottom according to odds, so hard to take them serious. So, so I don't remember 2000. I'm surprised that Israel 2000 was high in the betting odds. 2000 was the year where I only watched it. I was really young, and I watched it without knowing the songs up front, so I had no idea about the betting odds. I remember Denmark 2002 being really high, and then flopping at the contest, coming in dead last. In recent years, it has been a little bit more accurate to a certain extent, right? There are exceptions. The Netherlands in 2014, they came out of nowhere, and once the rehearsals kick off, you often get a really good idea on who will do, who has the magical staging. Sometimes it's wrong too, because betting odds are not always a good indicator, and I had to learn that, take it very responsible. Because I guess my comments sometimes impacted, because I'm one of the people that actually do live streams during the rehearsals and comment on the actual stagings and all of that, and people listen to it and put money down on it. So if I get too hyped over something that maybe shouldn't get overhyped over, people get mad at me, and vice versa. I remember in 2015, France's song was really far down the betting odds, and the staging was really beautiful, and it all of a sudden climbed up in the betting odds. And it's like, what? So then it kind of flopped anyway. In 2018, Suri, remember the stage invasion thing? People thought that a lot of people will give her sympathy votes, and all of a sudden UK was 6th or 7th in the betting odds. And I was like, what? That was overestimated as well. But let's look at the last 3 years. 2020, obviously, we don't know. 2019, the Netherlands was always the leader in the betting odds. They also won, although you can make a case it was close because it didn't win either group, right? So it could have gone either way. 2019 was crazy to begin with. In 2018, Israel was always the leader until the first night of the first semi, when Cyprus took over, I think. But then she was still in second, so that was accurate. In 2017, it was Italy leading the betting odds for the longest time, and then they only came in 6th place, which is still great. I mean, 6th place, hello. And Portugal came out of nowhere at some point, and Bulgaria was also really high. So that kind of happened as well. In 2016, it was basically kind of how it panned out, right? If I'm not mistaken. 2015, Sweden was always the number 1, I believe. And so on, and so on. So sometimes they get some of them wrong, of course, but there has been a little bit of a consistent, not completely crazy situation. So, but yeah, that is how I look at it with the betting odds. There can be a good indicator early on. At this point, this is popular, but when it really gets going is when rehearsals start. And to go back to the point that I made, I do live streams during rehearsal week, and a lot of people watch it, right? And people often, betting odd makers, use that to get an impression, and people get mad at me if me personally overreact to a song that didn't deserve the kind of reaction, or overlooked some other song's qualities, right? I'm like, okay, I had to learn to be a lot more careful with the way I word things as I'm watching it. But I'm human, I am animated, and I do get initial reaction. So, but yeah, that is when things really fall into place. And I remember, and sometimes it changes again. I remember in 2017, Blanche, City Lights, right, finished in fourth place. Throughout the first rehearsals, basically up until the even in the jury semi-show, she sucked. She was nervous. She was uncomfortable. It was sounded really bad. And there's a reason why the juries put it pretty far down in the ranking in the semis. But then as soon as the first show, the first live show started, the semifinals, she was fine. And she sounded good. It's like, well, she found herself, and stuff like that can happen. And that is exactly what happened with Belgium. And similar stuff happened with Azerbaijan in 2016. She sounded horrible virtually for the entire time. And then when it counted, she's like, okay, now she's sounding decent. And that can really make a big difference as well. Eurotowel is asking, what makes the betting odds more accurate nowadays? It is the rise of the internet and that we can see rehearsals more easily. Eurotowel, I think that is part of it. I think a lot more access and visibility, a lot more mainstream feel, and a lot of more input than previously. And things are now a little different because you have juries and televote. Because if back then we only had juries, right, in the olden days, and juries don't vote as expected. The odds often are more in line with what you would expect from a televote, not from the jury vote. So if there's going to be a shocker, it's the jury vote that will really change things up. North Macedonia was nowhere near the betting odds at the top, right? And it won the jury vote. And that kind of thing happened. Norway then was flopping with them, and that's just how it happened. And they were pretty high in the betting odds. So it's more difficult to really predict the outcome of the juries. It is a little bit more predictable. Predictable is not even the right word. It's a little bit more like you can anticipate how songs people may receive well, because if they initially received well, there is a good chance it'll also work on the night where it counts, unless there's a complete disconnect. This bad staging and people just don't get it. Iceland 2016 comes to mind. It sounded good, it looked good, and yet people didn't vote for it. And people thought it's going to do really well, but it just didn't go anywhere. Stuff like that happen. But I'm excited to see the current betting odds for me personally, because I'm nervous about Switzerland as much as I want to go to Switzerland. I always complain about the Scandinavian countries to be expensive, but they're like, compared to Switzerland, they're Walmart. I don't want to go to Switzerland, and how can I afford that? But it has been so long. The last win for Switzerland was in 1988. Flippin' Celine Dion is the most recent Eurovision winner in Switzerland. That is the crazy part. Malta, of course, I would be stoked if Malta wins. I want to go to Malta, and Malta is so passionate about it. That would be a great host. So I would be over the moon. If France comes in here and wins it the first time since 1977, right? Yes, 1977. That's 41 years. So then other contenders, so we have Lithuania would be a great winner. So many, I like what I see at the top. Yes, but keep in mind, easily I could see a San Marino climbing up if the staging is right. I could see other songs. Cyprus could do another Eleni Ferreira moment, so you just never know. So don't think this is all said and done. I think this year, kind of like last year, is a little bit less predictable. We often have like these clear favorites. Here it seems a little bit more like, even though the betting odds have Malta and Switzerland ahead a lot, I think that could easily change. Okay, so this is what we have for today. Let's do an open Q&A session at ESC United in the chat. Let's talk about anything Eurovision related. Share your thoughts. It can be in form of a question. It can be in form of a statement. I will read them as much as possible. I cannot get them all. I always read the super chats, of course. But let's do one here. Just Me said, do you think Italy has a chance, or will juries ruin it? This is a very tough question. I always get asked for Italy. I personally don't see this one as a winner at all. Neither with the televote or the juries, because it is a little bit too specific niche. And that, I think, is what probably would prevent it from winning. That would be my guess, at least. I would love to go to Italy, because, I've been rooting for Italy for God knows how many years. I've been there several times, and I love Italy. And although I've only been to the main places, like Rome and Venice, if I want to I was going to be on a cruise, going on a cruise last year, but something happened that prevented me from going. I'm not telling you what. You were totally saying if San Marino wins, it's fair to see we could see Monaco and possibly Luxembourg return. I hope so. You're right. I know that certain smaller countries say that micronations don't have a shot at winning Eurovision. I don't believe in that for a second. I just don't know if that would be really, if they want to come back. I thought Austria winning would get Slovakia back in the running, but that didn't happen. So I'm a little bit more hesitant. Yeah. What is your email address, social media account? Can I contact you because my account on the forum never got verified but blocked instantly and I don't know why? Send an email to info@escunited.com. It could be, there was a time where we had a spam attack and maybe your IP got accidentally caught in that. So we would have to look into that. You can either send it to info@escunited.com or message us on Twitter. ESC United is our Twitter account. Or you can send it to my own personal, Matt ESC United. That would work as well. So, yeah, just let us know. We'll look into it. Can you name 10 acts which have really a chance at winning Eurovision 2021? Well, let me bring up the list here. Obviously, the obvious candidates are Switzerland and Malta, right? The betting odds they're high up there for a reason. Switzerland could be the next Portugal 2017 if things come together and the emotions will connect. That is my biggest concern with Switzerland. Will this really work live? Will the connection be there? That is what the song needs, because the song is a mood, is a feel, and that needs to come together. I do think Malta has a really good shot. Malta tends to do well with the juries anyway, for the most part, and hasn't been doing well with the televoters, but this has televote potential. So, and that's what I'm saying. And if she sings well live and the energy is there, I could absolutely see that one go like fuego big. You know what I mean? It's not the same song. I'm not comparing the songs, but I get the kind of energy. All right. I'm not going to go for it. Let me look another one. Said Lithuania could be a dark horse. I think Lithuania is being overlooked a little now by the betting odds. I think this is the right song at the right time. And I see this one is on my radar. I don't see Sweden winning this year. Malta I mentioned already. I don't think Romania is going to win, but Romania is going to do really well. I don't see Iceland winning. Unfortunately, San Marino would be a big shocker. The song has, again, a lot of potential. Staging comes down to staging. And I think San Marino can easily win people over. And just because of micronation, I don't think it'll stop. I don't think Bulgaria will win this year as much as I love the song. Finland is a little bit of a dark horse for me as well. And then France. I think France has all the chances in the world to win. So these are just some examples that I would pick, but there are more. Raf Aga saying, which Sanremo song would you have sent to ESC? There was this one song I love the SHIT out of, but I forgot the name of it. It didn't even make it to the top 3. I think it, let me, Scoopy-Doopy-Doo, hang on tight. It was it Irama? No. It was the last song in semi-final 2, whatever. Let me go to Sanremo here. Hold on. I'm scrolling. That's just, I already scrolled past it. I suck at my life. Okay, this is very confusing on Wikipedia. It was the second. I found it. Yeah, it's Irama la Genesi del Giucolore. Butchering Italian. That was my song. That was my clear favorite, and that would have been probably high up in my ranking. So yeah, but I got spoiled in Italy because every single year since 2016, they picked my favorite song. This year they didn't. So how dare you? How very dare you? So no, yeah, that's what happened. When will ESC United expert panel review start, Matt? That's TBD. We're still working on that. It will be in April. But I give more details on that soon. Do you think San Marino could flop with the juries? Yes, it could flop with both the televoters and the juries. I think it has all the chances to go really high to the top, and it has all the chances to go really down in the ranking. It's the biggest wild card to me, and that what makes it so much fun. That what makes it so much fun to me, at least. Do you agree? There's some fan. Oh, I can't keep up. Sorry. There are some fan media videos on Twitter of the televoting of Eurovision 2019 where you could see the detailed votes that the countries got in an animation-y way. Would that be? Hang on. Let me. My brain. There are some fan-made videos on Twitter televoting Eurovision where you could see the detailed votes that the country got. Oh, you mean like from 11th to 26th place? Is that what you're talking about? That would be a lot of information because you don't have that kind of time. That would only be good for us nerds, Eurovision nerds. For everybody else, it would be maybe a little much, right? It would be nice to have one broadcast for the general public and one broadcast for the rest of us who want all the details and all the statistics. My Eurovision TV says, do you think being a favorite can do bad because it is a favorite and not a bad song? Because one maybe think is I like it, but I don't vote because it's a favorite and will do well anyway. I think you're overthinking that one. Again, the vast majority of people watching it, they don't know who the favorite is. Somebody, maybe one of the commentators mentioned it during the introduction, maybe this is a favorite. But people will not go as deep as analyzing this. Okay, this song will has already good chances, therefore I will not vote for it. Most people will not care. There is very little evidence to suggest otherwise. The songs that often were mentioned as favorites ended up being voted for by the public. So no, I don't think it's going to have an impact. Acts want to be the favorites. Everyone wants to be the favorite. This gets a lot of attention, a lot of publicity, so you want to be high up there in the betting odds, in the fan polls for that reason. Which is why the ranking at ESC United, we are very particular. We don't want some other news outlets, they just let everybody vote and you can vote 5 million times and it's not a very accurate representation of ranking. Ours is very accurate in terms of what our community likes, only because we check every single vote, every single one, and you have to register and you have to make sure you cannot vote for your own country. So we don't have any of that spam voting, and therefore I love our ranking very much. And it's very interesting if you watch our last week's video. It's, of course, there are a lot of similarities to other rankings, but our favorites from ESC United are quite different, and some others which I like. Have you heard that Khan is doing an external selection next year? Sal Brown is saying, I am thrilled to hear that. I've briefly heard about that. This year's selection was just so sad. It's such a wasted opportunity for a talented singer as is Eden. So they need to go back to that. Absolutely. Who do you think will open semi-final 1? I think we discussed that briefly last week. But let's do this again here. So the first half, usually they start with a more upbeat song, right? And there are a lot of upbeat songs in the first half of that semi. So it won't be Slovenia opening it. It won't be North Macedonia opening it. It won't be Sweden opening it. It could be Lithuania would be a good opener. Australia could be an opener. So my guess at this point, my gut feeling tells me Australia could be an opener, or Lithuania. My gut feeling's telling me right now. That's at least my guess. That would be for semi 1. Yep. That was my answer. Any thoughts on the fate of the location of the Eurovision pre-parties, especially the sad situation of Café de Paris in London? In case you wonder what that means, is that, this is usually the season where we're going to have all these pre-parties across Europe. The party in London, Eurovision party at the cafe that was just mentioned. We have in Amsterdam, we have Eurovision in concert. In Madrid, pre-party. They had parties in Latvia before, in Israel. All these places, of course, in the current climate that we're in, we're not going to have any of these parties. As a matter of fact, the party that has happened in London for God knows how many years has been cancelled indefinitely. It may not even come back next year or at any point in time. The event apparently has now been shut down, and that is devastating. I went in 2019, the last time it happened, which I'm so glad that I got to experience it for the last time there. It is sad, and they are trying to do some fundraisers. So if you have an extra buck, feel free to contribute to that one. I'm hopeful that there will be some kind of event, and I'm very supportive of it. There's just enough interest there. I mean, the tickets sell out fairly quickly, and the acts go in there. So I am fairly optimistic it'll be back in a different kind of reincarnation. You know what I mean? But I feel as we need to get through this year first before we even can tackle that one. But this is just a very sad impact or, result of the current climate that we're in. But I'm hopeful. I'm very, very hopeful. So yeah, this is where we're at. Which of the countries that could make shot qualifications in your opinion, Alex is asking. Well, let's take a look at it. We cannot discuss Belarus. The first semi is considered the one that is stronger, only based on the merit of more successful countries and more powerful countries taking part in this one. I'm not even saying that they're better. I haven't really made a comparison yet. But in semi 1, there are so many contenders that it's very hard for me to even pick one. Most of them, not all of them, are like potential candidates. In semi 2, there is a whole lot of, anything could happen. I could see easily Estonia qualifying. A lot of people don't think Yugoslavia is going to qualify. I think it has a pretty good shot at going through. Who else would be a shock? Albania does this thing where they just squeeze through enough, get enough points to get through. They've done it 2 years in a row. So I could see them being a surprise qualifier once again. I love because Albanians are very mad at me. Because for 2 years in a row, in 2018-19, I didn't think they were going to qualify, at least according to my predictions. And then they squeeze through, and then they think like I have like a personal issue with it. I'm like, no. I love 2018. It's probably my favorite Albanian entry ever. But I just was worried it's not going to qualify. And if it wasn't for the juries, it wouldn't have qualified. So, but they think like, I'm like, don't believe in them. I'm like, that's not the point. But this year, knowing what Albania is capable of, I'll say I wouldn't be surprised if it qualifies. I want to say Denmark could be a surprise qualifier, but I don't think the juries will allow it. I think it'll do much better with the televoters than a lot of Eurovision fans think. But I don't think the juries will allow it to go through. But I put it in there my surprise qualifiers. What do you think about Andorra returning next year? I don't know if you voiced your thoughts on it already, Jimmy is asking. So, Jimmy, I have read about it, but it has not been an official statement yet, from my understanding. It has not been widely reported. It has just been one person. So I will withhold final excitement and final judgment. But if they're going to be back, I'm like, yeah, I'm going to throw bottles. I'm going to throw anything. Andorra has to come back. I want every flipping country in Europe back. Granted, the more countries, the more non-qualifiers. I get all of that. But I don't care. I just want everyone to be there. I want Slovakia back. I want Andorra back. I want Luxembourg back. I want them all back. So Andorra would be so amazing. And I know there's always been that, will they be back? 2009 is the last time they took part. So we would have a 13-year gap. They've never qualified for the finals. So, but they've never really had, we're in a semifinal where we had juries. So juries can only help them, right? So yeah. Let's do a couple more questions real quick. Do you think France and Sweden will have a much lower reaction than other countries at the odds once rehearsals have started, since we already know most of the package they already have? Thomas, no, I don't think there will be a negative response. Because we both know this is kind of the staging that they have, and Francis in particular got a lot of good feedback. And I don't know if they're going to make any changes to Sweden. Maybe a little bit, but for the most part, it'll stay similar, very simplistic. I think that will stay the same unless they really mess it up. Only songs that will be elevated by the staging could surpass them, therefore them dropping. That would be my guess. So other songs just come up with like, whoa, this is so cool. And it really works. And that is what I expect to happen potentially. Unless everyone has shitty staging. Plus, keep in mind, there is still a chance that we won't have a proper Eurovision like as we know it. Every country is recording a backup performance. So if we have a last minute shutdown of Eurovision, they'll all use the backup performances. And that would be a very devastating and disappointing situation. It would be better than no Eurovision. I get that, but it wouldn't be the same. It wouldn't feel the same. It wouldn't feel right. And that would suck. And some people kept asking, I'm not sure in this chat, about what is going to happen. Am I going to be at Eurovision? Eurovision could still be shut down. At the bare minimum, I will have remote access to the remote press center, the online press center. Whether or not I'll be able to go to Eurovision, that is still TBD. I'd love to go, but I understand that there's limited access to it. And but I'd love to go. If I get the chance to go, I will go. I'm vaccinated. I am very careful with everything, and I just go from my place to the press center and back. I'm very careful, but keep your fingers crossed. Even if it won't be the same there because there won't be many events, I still want to be there and just soak it in. I just want to go. Are you aware of Israel's song being revamped? Are there any news for other revamped songs as well? My Eurovision. I heard about the revamp for Israel, which I don't know how they're going to revamp it again. I know Spain will have a different version for Eurovision. They will have a Eurovision-specific version, which is not available online. I don't know. I don't think that should be allowed in my view, but I know about that one. In terms of other revamps, I don't know of anything else. But if anyone else can think of anything, that is definitely something I would love for you to share with me. Keep in mind, we'll be back every Saturday here at least, and we'll have more shows also throughout the month. Gosh, we are like, what? Less than 2 months away from the actual grand final. All right? No, wait, 2 months. So, it's crazy. We don't even have that much time, but we'll keep you busy throughout the season. And yeah, so that is what I have for today. I don't want to keep you for too long. Do you think the host country will be last again this year? I think so. I don't know. It's too early to say. Netherlands is a potential last placer, unfortunately. I mean, Israel didn't finish last, even though they finished last in the jury vote. In 2018, Portugal came last. In 2017, Ukraine didn't come last, but they were at the bottom. So it has been a little bit. In 2015, Austria came basically joined last. So yeah, it's a recurring theme. So I don't think the Netherlands is going to go high this year, unfortunately. And this has nothing to do with whether or not it's a good song. It's just not a song for Eurovision, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that is what I believe. So yes, this is what I have for today. Thank you so much for watching, and this is more to come over the next few days, and I promise last year I will have more people on. I need to fix my laptop, because every time I bring someone on, it just, the CPU server response time explodes, and I can't do anything. So I gotta work on that this week. But thank you for watching anyway. I hope you enjoyed the dialogue. And again, hit subscribe and support us. Share, like, become a member, whatever you can do to carry us through Eurovision. Because even if I go to Eurovision, it'll be the most expensive Eurovision ever. The flights, everything is just outrageous, anything. So your support, it is greatly appreciated. Just share, like, whatever you can do. It comes, my gratitude is yours. So thank you for watching, and I will talk to you all